Good afternoon and welcome back to day one of NWR's Virtual Investor Conference. My name is Max Don and I'll be your host for today. Up next, we have SensOre. SensOre aims to become the top performing minerals targeting company in the world through an approach to exploration that combines AI technology, big data and vast geoscientific expertise. The ASX code is S3N. This afternoon, we have SensOre CEO and Managing Director, Richard Taylor, presenting. Before I pass it over to Richard, I do remind participants that they can ask questions throughout the session using the Q&A function at the bottom of your Zoom. Richard, I'll now hand it over to you.
Thanks, Maxton, and thanks to our good friends at NWR for the opportunity to present on Sensor, ASX code S3N. We are discovering more with AI enhanced exploration. We're, taking technology and advances that have happened in related industries, in medtech, fintech, you name it tech, and applying it to a really important part of the Australian economy in order for us to be able to continue to experience the benefits of the mining sector and fill up all of the commodities that we need for the energy transition and for critical minerals. Just the usual disclaimer. I think many of you have probably heard and know well the changes that are happening in the global economy, driven by two investment themes at the moment. One is the energy transition, which is shaping exploration and mining markets as we, change from a hydrocarbon-led energy sector to one that's reliant on batteries, electric vehicles, electrification in different areas, and renewable energy. Many of you would be familiar with the fact that batteries and this sort of change in the energy mix is really driving a once-in-a-generation increase in demand for those key commodities that are needed for it. So nickel, copper, lithium, cobalt. We put gold in there as well. Gold is a key ingredient in high-tech space and other applications, and manganese. We simply do not have enough of these commodities available to be able to meet the energy needs required for a 2050 zero target that many people in the world have been pursuing. Second theme, as well, is that many of the commodities or the existing suppliers of these commodities come from jurisdictions that are subject to significant geopolitical risk. We've seen recently Ukraine, Russia, etc., control many of the areas for supply of some of these commodities, but also suppliers within Africa and Asia can be subject to the same geopolitical tensions that have disrupted supply chains most recently. So SensOre was designed really to address this challenge and be able to supply more from areas of the world that have large data sets, have historic mining operations, but where the exploration pipeline needs to be refilled. I've spent most of my career working in mining operations, both here and abroad. When you go to many of these locations, you can see that the stuff that's sticking out of the ground has been mapped, sometimes being mined for hundreds, if not thousands of years. We're very good at being able to discover the stuff that sticks out of the ground and be able to mine it. But when you move into new terrain, undercover, in complex geology, we know more about what's on the surface of the moon than we do about what's under many of the shifting sands within the Australian desert. So we want to open up the 2/3 of the Australian continent that is not able to be easily explored currently with the existing exploration toolkit. So we do, a lot of our technology is about applying artificial intelligence and training it to become a geologist, a geophysicist, a geochemist, to be able to look at all of the deposits around the world that host major mines and be able to understand and build up a digital fingerprint of what it takes to be a major mine on your operation, and be able to understand what its geophysical presence is, what its geological associations are, what the proximate locations to different geological features, and also be able to ingest vast amounts of geochemical data in multiple different formats. So We do some pretty cool things that are coming from advances in AI. We train the computer to be able to read geological maps, be able to read reports, to extract the real information that we need from those reports and be able to apply it as layers within our system. We take the computer and we train it on being able to clean geochemical data sets in 70,000 different formats going back decades within the Australian industry, and really build up a picture not only of the Australian continent, but also of what it takes to host a major mining operation. This couldn't have been done before. We're really at a tipping point within the industry. It has been brought about by those advances in AI algorithms that allow us to be able to take disciplines that have traditionally been run by humans or by domain experts, or even seen as an art form, and convert those into quantitative processes. And I think what you saw is that this has been led really by the oil and gas industry in a very narrow area targeting hydrocarbons. Now we're being able to apply that to continental wide scale and multiple terrains, multiple geologies, multiple ages of rocks, and locations, etc. And we're able to do that because the data harvesting technology that's available increases in computational capacity. Storage, etc., was a major barrier, even going back a decade or more. And the uptake by global business has really transformed understanding of these areas and how they can be used within business to make discoveries. We operate in a growing and massive industry segment. You can see there that just, $2.5 billion a year is being spent on drilling, most of it in exploration, basically on drill rigs without putting the data into best use beforehand. We can save companies a significant amount of time, energy, and get better outcomes from our technology, we believe, by being able to apply data science in a disciplined and cutting edge way to these problems of where our new mines of the future are going to come from. Some of our peers have reached billion-dollar valuations on applying some of these technologies to parts of the exploration program. Sequent recently was acquired for over $1 billion on $100 million in revenue associated with assisting mining companies largely within the mine domain rather than the exploration sphere. Cobalt is a competitor of ours in the US that works on proprietary approaches in geophysical information, but is backed by Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, and some of the big names in technology, again, aiming at how they can promote the technology that are going to assist with the transition to the future of exploration. What we do for companies and for customers is that we provide them access to our data cube, which is our digital twin of the Earth's continent. We allow them to run DPT, which is looking for those fingerprints in the data within their tenements about which they could host new major mining operations. We also have a number of suites of tools that can be used to better interrogate their data and make better use of data science and software to be able to solve the problems about where should you situate a next drill rig to make that next big find. Just wanted to talk to you very briefly about some of the exciting products that we've got out at the moment. Our prospectivity maps for gold, nickel, copper, and lithium in WA. It's the hottest exploration market in Australia, in one of the hottest countries for exploration in the world. 70% of exploration dollars get spent in WA, and these are images that you can't find anywhere else. Be able to see where those potential new discoveries are coming from. At the end of the day, what we're looking to do is create not quite a treasure map, but $1 trillion map of where Australia's resources are undercover in states, in all trains. We're currently working in WA, South Australia, and Victoria, progressively filling out that information for all those commodities, and working on some of our own projects as well to be able to refine that information and ensure that our shareholders capture what can be 100-fold uplifts in value on discovery. Our technology and approach so far has been very much centered on one-on-one engagements with clients. We've recently made a large investment with a software development group, CGI. It's a $20 billion US listed entity that specializes in creating platforms for companies that warehouse data like ourselves. We're delivering a project where we'll take all of that geophysical, geochemical, geological information that we've extracted and converted into layers and make that available as a platform where people can upload their own data, benefit from our software that automatically cleans and ingests that information, and interrogate it with the data tools that we hang off on that approach. So we can really bring mineral exploration from where it sits as a laggard in the innovation space in many areas to a world leader in digital exploration and AI technologies and approaches. Key to that will be developing our commercial wrap, our revenue pricing model, which moves from a bespoke approach to a licensing, an enterprise licensing system where we work with some of the major companies. Many of our companies have also, the clients that we work with have also come on board as shareholders. BHP Ventures joined our list in the pre-IPO process. DGO Gold is an ASX listed gold fund, joined our share registry most recently during the IPO. And Deutsche Rohstoff is a new addition to our company, a German based entity that is looking at battery technology and approaches to lithium processing, downstream processing in Europe, seeking new opportunities for lithium exploration and secured supply for Europe over coming years. So we're pretty excited about having them join our register as well as being clients. We can work as our approach is to do a big capital up investment up front in terms of the data acquisition and being able to envisage and visualize that information. It doesn't matter if we work with some of the smaller groups that we focus on, such as Argonaut, Great Boulder Resources, Jindalee, etc., which we have joint ventures with, or whether we work with majors such as BHP or bigger companies like EMR who have multi-commodity interests in gold and copper. I should also mention that we work very closely with research organisations such as Samara and the Centre for Exploration Targeting in WA. Our technology has also been developed in partnership with funding from CSIRO and access to their deep data science expertise as they address some of the minerals challenges that the industry faces to be able to deliver the supply that the world requires. We listed just on 12th of February. We've got, as I mentioned, a lot of support from our clients, high net worths and other institutional investors that have come on board to support our process. We have about 7 million in the bank, a market cap of 55 million, and a long-term support base of people who've been with us on the journey over the last decade or more, developing the technology, but as SensOre proper since 2019. We have a very experienced board, both on the technology side and in the exploration space. I'd like to mention Alf Ego. Alf is the developer, original proponent of the technology. He was originally in CRA Rio Tinto research. He wrote his first paper in machine learning and exploration in 1981. A lot of the algorithms that we're using have a long history behind them, but really it's been those changes in AI algorithms, but data storage and processing capacity that have unlocked the potential for that exploration and being able to deploy this technology here. On our right-hand side, we've got a brains trust with Tom Whiting, Chris Gregory and Mike Oppenheimer, leading exploration figures from BHP and Rio Tinto over the past who have made major discoveries. Tom Whiting, for example, Cannington, and some of the more famous Australian operations that have been led by Australian exploration teams in discovery. On the left-hand side, Robert Peck, a long-time investor in the technology space, and architect by training, but has been really driving innovation and investment in many different technology fields within Australia. Tony O'Sullivan is the Chief Development Officer for Deep Green, now the metals company, which is looking at robotics, mining, nickel nodules on the sea floor to be able to provide batteries for energy transition. We have Nick Lim and Adrian Manga, lots of expertise in running Australian and North American listed companies. Myself, I come out of a number of companies that have gone from startup to production in short periods of time and generated significant shareholder uplift and value. Robbie Rowe, former chief geologist for Barrick outside the Americas and proponent of the Uncover initiative, so looking for newfound deposits at depth within Australia, and Greg Bell and Michaela Evans coming out of Mineral Deposits, who have deep expertise in governance and supporting ASX listed vehicles to make successful corporate developments over the long haul. So very deep experience across the board, very exciting company in my view. We're at the point of the critical point of two major themes, the energy transition, geopolitical tensions, onshoring of supply chains to Australia and to OECD countries. This technology has the opportunity to be able to unlock that value held in complex geologies in areas undercover. We're generating sales revenue from our approach. We have an exciting pipeline as well of our own projects that we partner with some of our clients and third parties to be able to make sure that we maintain royalties and equity exposure to those discoveries. So I think SensOre has a unique business model that provides multiple pathways to successful value realization across the next few years. So with that, I think I'm coming up to the end of time, and we look forward to answering any of the questions that have come in.
Thanks, Richard. And just a quick reminder for anyone on the call, they can pop their questions using the Q&A function at the bottom of their screen. First question is, will this be a pure SaaS expansion model only?
So a lot of the data is completely SaaS. So we've put a lot of effort into making sure that the data ingestion, cleaning, etc., the majority of that is a SaaS-based approach. But our solutions as a service that hang off that provide a deeper client one-on-one contact to be able to unlock more of that information and data as that. So we have the SaaS subscription approach. And then as we get into deeper engagements with clients who really want to interrogate and benefit from AI-led exploration, we have a solution as a service which can add more depth and expertise to answering some of the trickier questions that come with the new ideas and targets that are unlocked from this technology.
And can you talk about how SensOre will expand globally?
Yeah, we're at the moment, we're looking at a US expansion. I'm over in Denver again next week. Denver is at the confluence of technology and mining expertise. We've had a lot of our appetite from North American companies to take this approach to Canada and the US, where they see the opportunity there. That has been our main focus. We do see and have done work for clients in other locations. There are parts of Africa and South America where we see that this technology couldn't be deployed, but really we're riding that trend of people wanting to discover more in their own backyard in places that have really good data availability, particularly on the geology and geophysics front, and mean that we can open up and push from the known mining camps into the near unknown, so areas that have been difficult undercover, but we know are in terrains that host major mines where we see the greatest uplift from applying this technology.
Thanks, Richard. And one more question in the chat. Can you talk about your exploration pipeline?
Yeah. So we developed this technology and we piloted it originally for gold. We have around 22 projects of targets that we have pegged, and we've farmed out a number of those to partners to be able to explore on. We've picked up funding from, as I said, DGO Gold. We're in partnership with Chalice, which is made a big discovery at the Julimar in Western Australia. We're progressively and aggressively exploring those targets. We have 3 drilling programs underway at the moment, one on Munera, which is a mapped base metals rare earths target in the Nullarbor. It's a massive geophysical anomaly that our system loves. We're looking forward to the results from that drill program. We've recently drilled Boudinou, which is one of the targets that came up randomly from the system. So in an area that was not known for gold mineralization, a target was generated. We went out, we did field samples, we found widespread gold anomalism, and we've just drilled that, and we're waiting for assays at the moment. We have Mount Magnet. We also have a drill program that's got underway at 2 of our other projects, Eaglehawk and Grace. So post IPO, we've hit the ground running. We've got rigs going out testing some of those targets. We have equity exposure to those discoveries, but we're amplifying the way we go and do exploration by working with other companies to be able to share the risk of exploration and increase the likelihood of discoveries made from these targets.
Thanks, and we'll just get one more in on the chat. Do you propose to create similar databases in countries like Chile, South Africa, and Canada?
They're obviously the countries that have really good data available that we can acquire either from third parties or from governments and for research organisations. So South Africa is not currently on our development pipeline. Chile is really to be able to amplify work that our multinational companies have requested in relation to be able to benefit from this technology elsewhere. But if I talk frankly, there is so much work in Australia at the moment to deploy on this. There's a lot more to be found in our own backyard. I think we've spoken about declining success rates in exploration and a feeling that there might not be any more left to discover. That's totally not the case. We just have to look harder in areas we haven't looked at before.